how do you cope with anxiety and panic attacks while still processing grief and a constant impending feeling of doom after going through a regional national disaster?
Oh, man. Your body's telling you the truth. You make peace with your body.
Yeah.
Did you lose everything?
Thankfully, I did not. We had some minor damage at my home, a lot of damage in our neighborhood, but our home and my immediate family is safe. Yes.
Okay. So have you sat out in the front yard, look around, and ask, why me?
Yes and no. I think I've kind of been through a lot in the past, and I've kind of come to terms with it, like, I'm not special or above bad things happening to me personally, and it's kind of a part of life. Things happen. But I know that's definitely being felt by a lot of people in my area, and is definitely something that can still definitely be a struggle day in and day out, seeing the suffering around consistently.
So I think the first thing I want you to do is to stop going to war with your body.
Okay.
You should feel anxious for a season.
Okay.
Your whole city is gone.
Yeah.
Right? That beautiful downtown district, one of my favorite places in the United States, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Your body should be anxious. A show just released yesterday when we're recording this, released Monday, with the great David Kessler. It's a 2-part series, and I want you to listen to that.
Okay.
The thing that most people skip in this process is grief.
Yeah.
Just being sad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think the grief aspect, I'm glad you mentioned that part, because my grandfather did pass away in the middle of the storm.
Good gosh. Well, slow down. Hold on. Start with that first. What's his name?
Sorry. His name was William. Yeah.
Good guy?
And very good guy. Yeah.
How did he pass away?
They put cardiac arrest on his death certificate, induced probably stress from the storm.
Yeah.
He was between, like, where he lived was between two of the massive landslides you probably will hear about on the news. Mm-hmm. So we were actually not able to access him at all to find out if he was okay. And his wife during the storm. I was able to talk to someone via like a Starlink during the whole mess of things in the first few days, and someone on foot got to his house to confirm that him and his wife were safe. And then that night we got a phone call via satellite phone from first responders that he had gone into stress cardiac arrest and had passed. So that grief side of thing is like when the panic attacks really started, I think. Just not knowing how to process the loss of a grandparent on top of knowing that not even getting up to his house at the time was possible.
Hey, Katie.
You were trained. Hey, Katie. Yes.
He didn't pass away because of you.
Yeah.
There's not a thing you could have done.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you're in great shape and you're a good runner and you're probably a little bit of an Asheville prepper, like they all are in Asheville, which I love them for it.
Yeah.
What happened is your community got hit by a bomb.
Right.
There's not a plan for when a meteorite hits. And that's what happened to y'all.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
No, it's exactly what happened, okay?
Yeah. I think we're having a hard time coming to terms with that. That's we're kind of in denial.
Yes, and most planners are.
Yeah.
And the people I know in Asheville, I know there's an extraordinary, just magical arts district in Asheville, but my friends who live there, in an ironic twist of fate, picked Asheville because it feels disconnected from the world.
Yeah.
This is our haven, away from all of you crazy people.
It's a pretty great place.
But it's not supposed to happen there.
No,
right?
It's not. Yeah,
so
mountains are supposed to protect you from the storms.
That's right. That's why we moved here, so that y'all suckers would have the storms. I don't want you to think about managing this.
Okay.
And I don't want you to think about processing this.
Okay.
I want you to think about just being real sad.
Okay.
You lost your granddad.
Yeah.
And his final moments were protecting your grandmother.
Yeah.
What an awesome guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I want you to process, I lost my city. I lost my town. I lost vibrancy. I lost the heartbeat
Yeah.
of a magical little mountain community.
Yeah.
We're not going to
This is
manage
my
that. We're not going
hometown.
to we're not going to process this. We're going to be really sad.
Yeah.
And
It's
some
very
of that
sad.
might be, I'm going to write my granddad a letter.
Okay.
Tell him what he meant to me, how much I loved him. If I'm feeling real gangster, I'm going to read it to my grandmother and to my mom and my dad. If I'm real gangster, everybody in my family is going to write granddad a letter, and we're all going to read them to each other.
Okay.
As David Kessler says, grief demands a witness. You can't just get in your house and figure this out by yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the tricky parts of all of this was that in the initial week or two that I didn't have power or cell service, there was no getting to mom and dad's house. There was no getting to granddad's house. There was no contacting family members.
Right.
It was kind of very isolating.
It was completely cut off from civilization.
Yeah.
Right?
We were pretty much cut off, yeah.
Yes, and there's a weird feeling. There's a strange. I grew up in Houston where there's hurricanes and things go like.
Right.
There is a unmooring feeling when you're in the 21st century, surrounded by cars and air conditioners, and your stomach drops, and you're like, "Oh, we're on our own."
Yeah, we were basically an island.
Yes.
In the section of town that I live in, culverts were out. Our road for our neighborhood was out.
Yeah.
It was completely inaccessible. I mean, I have two small kids, and I think a huge part of the anxiety that I'm facing now is if this happens again, like we could not get in touch with pediatricians. We could not get emergency care. And thank God we were okay in that moment, but not everybody was. And there's also like a significant amount of survivor's guilt.
That's right. That's what I talk about. You going out in the front yard and looking around and being like, "Why me?
Yeah.
Why do we make it?"
Right.
So what most people never talk about, and it's not culturally cool to talk about, and again, David Kessler talks about it in that episode. I want you to go check it out.
Definitely.
Is post-traumatic growth.
Okay.
We don't realize on this side of the hurt how much stronger we can be on the other side if we will sit in the sadness. We will honor the grief. We won't go to war with our bodies, trying not to feel anxious and masking anxiety with pills and drugs and running and all. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be heartbroken.
Okay.
And there's something powerful about recognizing I thought I had every variable under control, and I didn't realize how tightly I was gripping the world.
Yeah.
At any moment, it can rain and just not stop raining, and my kids can't see a. And here's the thing that happens: your hands open up.
Right.
Some people will respond to this by tightening even more every variable in their life, and they will suffocate themselves to death.
Right.
Others will open their hands and say, I'm going to do the next right thing. I want you to write a letter to the storm.
Okay.
And I want you to acknowledge what that storm took from you, how indiscriminate her damage was.
Yeah.
And then I want you to let that storm know, here's who I'm going to become as a mom, as a wife, as a citizen of this community. Here's what you've unleashed in me, in my house.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can get a couple of your weird Asheville friends, my favorite people in the world, if you can get a couple of your weird Asheville friends, I want y'all to all write letters to storms. And by the way, if you're in Nebraska, you can be like, write a letter to storm. Asheville people, y'all understand writing letters to storms. I know. I want y'all to write letters to storms. And I want y'all to read them to each other. I want y'all to process this. I say process. I want y'all to be in this together. Tell the stories. Tell the stories. And put a new picture in your head about what's going to be. My heart's broken for your family and the loss of your life with your granddad. What an amazing guy who was protecting people till the end.